history facts? Yes, certainly. However, this one might not be for everyone. Did you know that in the 16th and 17th century in Europe, it was common practice to eat human flesh as medicine? In fact, this is the reason there are so few Egyptian mummies left, because they were sold to eat. Oh, it's like Egyptian jerky. Did you know that anthropodermic bibliopegy is the practice of binding books in human skin? In fact, it was all the rage in the 16th and 17th century. It was usually found in anatomical books, and they would use the skin of the cadaver that was dissected for research to actually bind the book. Did you know there are still some copies of Marquise de Sade's Justine et Juliette bound in the tan skin of female breasts? Apparently some still have the nipples intact. Nipples. Did you know that in 1606 a book about the gunpowder plot was published? It was called The Trial of Henry Garnet. Here it is! He was found guilty of co-conspirating to kill King James I. His skin was used to bind the book with the inscription that read, "Severe penance punished in flesh." Ooh. Dark History Part 2? Certainly! Did you know in ancient Rome they had horrible and humiliating ways of killing prisoners? From burning them alive, to chaining them up and removing their entrails, to forcing female prisoners to have intercourse with a bull, and if they were not killed by that ordeal, they'd just kill them afterwards. Ugh. Did you know in ancient Greece they used to put prisoners inside a bronze bull? They would then heat the bull, roasting the person alive inside, and because of the acoustics, their screams would sound like the cries of a bull. Did you know that in Japan, when building a structure such as a castle, a bridge, or a dam, they used to practice hitobashira, which translates to human pillar? Did you know this practice involved burying a live person under or near the structure, as they thought this would protect it from natural disasters or enemy attack? It was usually done by a volunteer, such as a samurai, who would be honoured to guard this structure from beyond the grave. I think I'm going to keep this series going. I really like it. So comment underneath and let's get some dark history. Dark History Part 3? Yeah, certainly. Did you know that in World War II, some Japanese soldiers used to eat prisoners of war? Sometimes they would even cut flesh off living prisoners so as to keep it as fresh as possible. Did you know infamous Japanese Unit 731 used to conduct abhorrent experiments, usually on Chinese prisoners of war? Now, these would include removing limbs and placing them on different parts of the body. Ugh. Removing organs from live patients with no anesthetic. Freezing limbs to cause frostbite and then pouring hot water on them so the skin would just fall off the bone. They also wanted to see how much pressure the human body could take before death, so they put them in high-pressure chambers and spun them in centrifuges until they could take no more and, you know. Ooh. Did you know as a form of torture when captured, they would find a growing bamboo shoot and sharpen the tip? They would then tie you motionless with the sharpened point on the cusp of your anus. Sounds bad. Sounds a lot worse when you realise bamboo grows around 2 inches a day. Dark History Part 4? Yes, certainly! Did you know that in the 18th century, Mary Toft convinced doctors that she'd given birth to 9 rabbits? That was until they found corn in one of the stomachs of the rabbits, which proved they did not develop in Mary's womb. Turns out, she'd actually inserted the rabbits inside herself to make the birth look as realistic as possible. Why have I got a... Oh! Did you know that in the 1800s, dentures were made from the teeth of dead soldiers? Ugh. Did you know that in the 19th century, Minnie Dean used to take in unwanted babies as a way of making money? A lot of the babies became sick and died or mysteriously disappeared. Investigators concluded that she had been killing the children and disposing of their remains in hat boxes. She remains the only woman in New Zealand to have been ever given the death penalty. Did you know up until the 1980s, doctors believed that babies under 15 months old could not feel pain, so they would perform operations using only muscle relaxers. So although a baby could not move or cry, it could hear, see, and feel everything that was being done to it. Holy shit!